Rollo Tomassi, the self-proclaimed godfather of the red pill. Yes, the saga continues. In an effort to process how the discussion with me went the way it did, Rollo Tomassi did everything he could to rationalize what went down and ultimately landed at the fact that he thinks I cheated.
He's got 2 watches on. You already know that the tablet is sitting right there. Now, I'm going to explain a few things to you.
This prompted a response from the red pill community, officially making me public enemy #1, and even led Myron of Fresh and Fit to publicly diss me. Now, I want to be completely honest. This entire debacle I find extremely flattering. Few things more do I appreciate than being viewed as a villain or bully by the red pill community. So in this video, I'll be reacting to Rollo's bold claim about how I was able to pull off such a performance in our conversation together, reacting to Fresh and Fit's diss towards me, and explaining how I became the red pill's public enemy #1.
Ruslan.
Petty stream alert. I'm forewarning to you guys, all right? This is going to be a petty stream responding to Rollo Tomassi's comments about our conversation. And goodness gracious, did this make my day. All right, so there's a whole lot here. I'm not gonna play his entire clip. Long story short, Rollo was out in Florida, South Florida. He had a conversation with a lady named Jedediah. She's one of the new personalities. And after the fact, me and him had our conversation or debate on Valuetainment's Money Channel. Now, the first 3 hours of this 4-hour stream, which shout out to him, this brother be going super long with the streams. The first 3 hours of this is him riffing on Jedediah and how you can't tell women what to think and, you know, all that good stuff. The last like 40 minutes of this is him reacting to our discussion. Now, there's a whole lot here. I can't get into all of it. He talks about plate theory and all this stuff. But just to be fair, I've reached out to Rollo. I told him I was going to put a version of the debate up on my channel. I've offered to have him come out and do an in-person conversation, and I'll explain why towards the end of the video. So just make sure you watch till the end of the video and I'll get into it. And then I'll get into this Fresh and Fit diss, which that actually happened. Wild times we live in. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to jump in, and we're basically going to get to the meat of what he said about me, and then I'll get to the Fresh and Fit diss about me here in a moment.
Whereas what he's talking about, oh, we went to marriage counseling, we went to my marriage.
By the way, there's going to be profanity on this, so just forewarning.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Explicit.
Okay, I didn't, and I've been married longer than you. Did I do it right or did you do it right? Was my process correct or was your process correct? You want me to give it? That's why I don't give prescriptions, asshat. That's why I don't do that. I don't think what I do is going to work for every single fucking guy. I would not presume to tell guys, follow what I did. Here, try to recreate the late 80s and the 90s, have sex with these chicks.
So he's saying that me giving prescriptions to men is bad because you can't always recreate the results. I think that's crazy to think of anyone not giving prescriptions who's writing a book. The reason why most people pick up a book is to figure out their life and to get information and application of said information. He says he doesn't give prescriptions. I don't know if that's true. I think he gives a lot of prescriptions. However, he doesn't want to respond to this. And by the way, hilarious how charged up he got in this stream because he wasn't like this in person. He was a sweetheart in person. He was a very polite guy in person. So it's very interesting to see him this charged up, just facial expressions and everything. So let's keep going.
Find a BPD girl, go through all that bullshit. Go through these long-term relationships, have sex with these girls, do a one-night stand here, do this, do that, and then suddenly miraculously find a girl who really wants you to be in the driver's seat and get yourself together and be 28 years old and then get married then. I would be presumptuous. I would tell that guy to go fuck himself if somebody told me that, because their experience is not mine. That's why I don't do prescriptions, and that's why I don't do specious debates like this. This is not about any topic. This is not about anything that's in the books. It's not about anything except for, is this guy doing it the right way? And am I doing it the wrong way and he's doing it the right way? That's all this is about. And you know why that is? Let me show you. This is why it is. Okay? You'll notice once again here. Let's keep going. There's those 2 watches.
We dispel.
You already know that the tablet is sitting right there. Now, I'm going to explain a few things to you. The reason why he has all that in there is because in the conference room that's outside the vault here, he's got 2 other guys out there that are connected with him, that are feeding him stats, that are hit him on this, get Rollo on that, get Rollo on this. That's why he's got that connectivity right there. And the reason I know that, Ruslan, is because I had Miguel, my good boy Miguel, in the same conference room with you guys, watching this as it happens. So he's in there with his tablet and trying, this is me doing it. By the way, this whole thing is me doing a debate with, figuratively speaking, with one hand tied behind my back. did not have a tablet there. I did not have two iWatches on at the same time. God only knows what the text. Now, can I say that this is exactly what was going on? Well, I can tell you what Miguel was telling me. And he's in the conference room. There's one guy who's frantically typing on his laptop. The other guy and Miguel are having this conversation. And these are like Ruslan's boys. That come with him. Now, Ruslan has to leave early. He has got to get out of there and get to like Fort Lauderdale Airport because he's got to get in and out. I don't know why, but that's the case. And so I do this show, and I don't know what any of this shit that's going on. I don't care whether he's got. I've used tablets. On Fresh and Fit. I've never used it on Adam's because I never really needed to. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And even Adam will say, okay, let's turn our phones off because we don't want any interruptions when we're there. And he's already got parts of the books highlighted, and they're only the parts where it's like, well, Rollo, you said you're a Christian at the end of this. It's like, yeah, that's no mystery.
He's saying that because I had on 2 Apple Watches. Okay, now we're going to address this because this was in the comments. Okay, he said I have on 2 Apple Watches. All right, now he's saying that because I had on 2 Apple Watches, that my buddy Tony and Zach were feeding me information while I was in the middle of the debate. Now, let me introduce you guys to who Tony is.
My name is Antonio Alvarez. I am a 27-year-old entrepreneur, originally from Spain. I live in Miami, Florida.
So Tony sells olives for a living, okay? Tony's a friend of mine. Tony's been on the channel before, okay? Tony sells olives. Tony was there as a solid to me to make sure that we got to the airport on time, okay? Tony, great business, by the way. If you're in South Florida, check out his olives. They're the best, okay? So he thinks that Tony is feeding me information in the middle of the debate and that I'm getting information on my iPad regarding what stats to pull in real time. What he doesn't understand is that, yes, I wear an Apple Watch. This is correct, okay? The Apple Watch tells time, and it may measure my heart rate sometimes, okay? It tells time. I was checking my Apple Watch to make sure I wasn't gonna miss my flight. Last time I was on Valuetainment Money, I missed my flight. This right here, friends, I really should plug my affiliate link. This right here is not an Apple Watch. There's no screen on here, okay? You know what this is? This is called a Whoop. Okay, a Whoop helps you with your sleep tracking and your strain. Okay, so there's actually no screen on this side. This side has a screen, tells me my time. Okay, now, I had an iPad. Why did I have an iPad? Because I had notes, Rollo. Because I came prepared. Okay, I came prepared to make sure that you felt respected and that I read your book and came prepared. Now, he thinks that I was getting information fed to me. What he doesn't know is that all these sources that I had, which there's quite a few, all these I airdropped to Valuetainment regarding so much more that I wanted to talk about. We covered maybe a third of the stuff that we want to talk about. This is about body counts, cock carousel. That's one of his terms, by the way. Don't be mad at me. This is about the number of partners people have, who is more or less average. We scratched the surface of this, okay? There's a lot of studies in here, and these are all my notes regarding my entire preparation for conversing with Rollo, okay? There's a lot there. And so for him to assume that I was in the debate getting information fed to me on a device through my Apple Watch, my 2 Apple Watches, I can come maliciously and attack Rollo Tomassi and make him look like he's not prepared to debate me. Okay, it's hilarious. Second of all, he said Zach was in the back room frantically typing on the computer. Okay, so Tony was there. Zach was not. Zach was actually screen recording so that we can get a video turned around fast. Zach, if you want to quickly give your thing, we don't got the Zach cam on yet, but Zach's on the audio. Go ahead, Zach.
Yo, yeah, I was in the conference room. Mind you, I flew with Ruslan from Southern California to record one other interview.
We did an interview with Patrick
Bet-David. And watch this debate and turn it into a video. So I'm sitting in the conference room. He says his homie Miguel says that I was
frantically
typing and stressed out that he turned the volume down. Mind you, Miguel is trying to talk cryptocurrency out there. Miguel is also saying, I think Rollo agrees with Ruslan a lot, but egos on YouTube can get pretty big. I'm like, all right, cool. Miguel's asking me about tattoos. Mind you, I'm sitting there. Now I'm explaining the Levitical law of why Christians can have tattoos and how Jesus died on the cross and replaced the law. While I'm like, can I just get to the end of this conversation so that now I can turn the volume back up? So I'm like, hey man, do you mind if I can turn the volume back up? Now he goes and tells Rollo, I'm stressed. He says, I'm stressed about it and I'm frantically typing. Not only am I not stressed, but I'm listening to the debate that I'm there for, and I'm screen recording so that we can have a quick turnover edit on the flight.
And we got a video, our version of the video up, which we had the intro pre-edited, and we had we snagged a clip, we made it on a flight. The video was out within 6 hours. We wanted to do that intentionally because we wanted to. Same day, because we upload a video every single day.
Yeah, so I'm screen recording my thing, not frantically typing. I am frantically listening. I'm watching the TV.
Because that's his job!
It's my job, son. It's my job! I'm supposed to be doing it! I'm paid, Miguel! So I'm screen recording, and I have proof that I literally was not typing. Not only do we just have to take my word for it, that
we could just show them the files.
We can show them the files. You can see the date, time. It's right when the debate was happening, and you can see screen recording, and nothing else is popping up on the screen because I am screen recording the debate so I can edit it later.
This is how I feel, and then we're gonna get to the fresh and bit. This is how I feel. Rollo, you're supposed to be the guy. Like, you're supposed to be the guy that everyone's afraid of. All right, you're supposed to be that guy.
You guys think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid, guys. I know this.
You're supposed to be the guy, right? So if you're the guy, and I am just a Christian dude who wanted to respect you, which, by the way, he doesn't think I read his books now, who wanted to respect you and read your books, and spent 2 weeks, a week and a half preparing to come and sit down with you. If you're the guy, if this is your king, is this your king? If this is your king, it shouldn't have even been a comparison. You shouldn't even feel like I had anything of value to say. It should have been a complete bloodbath. I should be dead in the water completely. Okay? If you go look at the comment section, most people are like, man, that was a really good conversation. Ruslan made some points I'd never heard about. Because what's happening is Rollo wants to position himself as the guy with the empirical data, the guy with all the evidence, the guy with all the proof. And all I kept dropping on him was empirical data. I kept dropping on him the evidence. I kept dropping on him how, hey, you know what? The body count of someone, the lower the body count, the more likely they are to be sexually fulfilled in marriage based on a lower body count. The more we kept going onto the empirical data, you didn't come prepared. I was shocked that you weren't prepared. I'm reading your books. How is it I'm reading your books and you're not prepared to answer my questions? I don't understand how this sort of thing could even be within the realm. I'm the young buck. I don't got a degree in psychology. I'm just a guy who read the book and read some books on evolutionary biology, and I didn't even scratch the surface. Which is why I invited you to come to California and continue our conversation. I'm trying to figure out the cognitive dissonance of how you could be a follower of Jesus, yet create content that is completely antithesis to anyone becoming a follower of Jesus. How you could promote nuclear family, but not help anyone get into a nuclear family. How you could promote traditional values, but show no traditional values with the videos on your channel. How you could stand next to guys like Fresh and Fit who tell women to just do their thing and tell men to smash through as many women as they can, then at the same time be anti-abortion. Help me understand. Talk. Help me understand. I'm confused. Now, if I'm not the only one confused. We could do well, I don't do prescription. Brother, you write books. Books are by essence prescriptions. No one picks up a book and goes, I don't care what this book has to say and it's gonna be inconsequential to my life. People read books because they want prescriptions. This is so common sense, fam. So this man's coming, this is the OG, this should be like me playing ball against LeBron. If I play ball against LeBron, I got 0 shots, 0 chance of doing anything to LeBron.
Talk, son.
I could maybe create some distance and make 1 jump shot. But if we're honest, brother, I was running you all up and down the court.
Drop that beat.
You were a very nice guy. You were a very polite guy in person, Rollo. I want you to keep the same energy and come to California and have this conversation. I said, I want to hear your testimony. How did you come to Jesus and how did you come to these conclusions? We didn't even talk on hypergamy. We didn't talk about how, hey, the average woman only has 4 sexual partners. The average man only has 6 sexual partners. We got the empirical data. Okay? Maybe the other guys you talk to, I'll read the book. I like reading. Found out reading your book. Found out I like reading your books. Okay? So now we're here. And you know what it reminds me of, Zach? It reminds me of when we would play basketball.
Okay.
And we'd lose, and then we'd blame the refs. When you blame the refs.
Don't blame the refs.
Don't blame the refs. Don't blame Adam.
They just wear
Don't
stripes.
blame the iPad. Don't blame the 2 Apple Watches.
Barely
Don't blame
charged.
Zach Sparazzo.
Don't blame me.
Don't blame Tony.
Just doing my
Mr.
job.
Tony Olives.
Tony selling olives.
Okay? This should have been a bloodbath. This shouldn't even been a comparison. Okay? This should have been so embarrassing for me. That like I walked out of there with my tail tucked, but you know what? I walked out of there going, and I got a bunch of text messages from the homies in the Red Pill community, folks that have been on Fresh and Fit, that'll remain anonymous, okay, for the sake of protecting the identities of pride, that were like, bro, you did an incredible job. I'm just a Christian dude that spent a couple of days reading this stuff, and you made this video basically saying I cheated and I lied. Rollo, I didn't cheat, bro. I didn't get any information. No one texted me on the iPad. No one texted me in the middle of the debate. The one text I got was from Zach Sparazzo telling me it was time to go. Okay. Furthermore, me and Sauce, I was trying to start this debate early. I was trying to start the debate at 2:30, 2 o'clock. I need 3 hours with Rollo. We're going in. We're going deep. Evolutionary biology, the whole bit. Okay? We didn't get to scratch the surface, fam. I showed you the notes. I can send you the sources. We're going to create listen, I'm going to create a link tree of nothing but sources that talk about how how it's optimal to be less promiscuous, how it's optimal to be with one person, how it's optimal to maintain your virginity, how it's optimal to not spin plates. I'm gonna create just a list of sources and peer-reviewed articles. You didn't have a lot of sources in your first book, Rollo, if we're gonna be honest. Okay, I was actually rather disappointed. Okay, so I'm confused. I'm perplexed by this whole entire thing. Zach, you got anything to say?
You know what's bugging me the most?
What is bugging you the most?
What's bugging me the most is the only thing he was able to give you props on on the day was that you read his book.
And he took that away!
And he took it away!
Why would you take that away from me, Rollo?
He took it away, man. And not to mention, I felt disrespected because I've been the one in the studio for the past 2 weeks.
Watching me read this freaking book.
I'm trying to work! And he keeps bringing up
read.
hypergamy. He keeps bringing up statistics on marriage and divorce. He keeps bringing up rational male religion, rational male. He keeps bringing up how there's not a lot of statistics and actual sources in the books. And I'm like, Ruslan, we need to make a thumbnail for this megachurch pastor video. We gotta shoot an intro for this next video. And Ruslan's studying. So to say that he didn't read the books is like disrespecting my time. I've been sitting here.
Oh my gosh, this is great. This is great. No, listen, the accusation alone is the most flattering thing that I've ever received in one of these situations. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's a very, very flattering accusation. Okay, it's very flattering, but
That's goofy.
it's very goofy. It's a very goofy accusation to think that I had a secret earpiece and I was getting information fed to me. Information that before either of us got into the discussion, I airdropped an entire note that said red pill sources to Nadia. Sauce can verify this. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, smash the like button. Listen, this is not the type of video I do for views on the channel. Me doing red pill. Oh, let's address Fresh and Fit real quick. Let's address Fresh and Fit. This by far. Look at this comment. Look at this comment. Now this is from. I don't know if this is from Fresh or Fit or Myron. I don't know which one. I think this is from, is it Myron or Byron? It's Myron. Myron Gaines. That's his alias. All these guys have aliases, by the way. Nobody uses their real names. They all got aliases. They all got, fake identities. And this is what Myron said about me. That dude does nothing, G, but make content on other people. He reacts while we create. Now, here's the thing, bud. Okay? You literally host a podcast where you bring women on from all over the country and dunk on them. That is why your thing is successful. And it's a brilliant concept of a podcast. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a brilliant concept, okay? However, to assume that you are this savant creative, you're this savant creative who paints murals like Michelangelo and I just rip stuff off the internet, is completely wild, because what you do is bring people on the channel who also react to clips on the internet. It's called reaction videos. Okay, it's called reaction videos. So to say that that's all I do while you create is absolutely nonsensical. Furthermore, there's more than enough to say about the accusations that have came out about women that you've tried to bring on the show in exchange for vagina, all these different things. So Myron, this is beyond the pot kettle calling the kettle black. Like, this is next level of just complete cognitive dissonance to think that all I do is make content on other people, yet all you do is dunk on women making content about other people. That's literally your content strategy. Let me find the most dumb bimbo girls, get them a little tipsy, and then we're going to spend our time dunking on them. But when it comes to having a meaningful conversation, when it comes to being challenged, you have to maintain the frame and avoid any type of conversations where you may not look like the one that has all the empirical data. I got the empirical data. You don't want to have the conversation. I have the empirical data, you're gonna dodge the conversation. I have the empirical data, we hopped out of the car, my buddy Tony hit whoever your producer guy is, I don't even know who that is. You guys wanna have the conversation, let's have the conversation. You don't wanna have the conversation. Not because I don't have the empirical data, but because you know that you're not used to having conversations like this. You think all of these Christian dudes are some soft blue pill betas, and when brothers come with actual facts about what the numbers actually say and how you guys historically make videos that are the antithesis of what you're claiming to promote. Rollo's claiming to be a Christian, Myron is claiming to be a Muslim. Make that make sense to me. How are you doing this while creating the type of environment encouraging people to smash as many women as possible? Do you not understand that that's going to lead to more emotional trauma and more damaged women and more abortions? You want to talk about men's reproductive rights? Do you not understand that there's going to be more babies aborted, telling men to have as many partners as possible, to spin plates, to have promiscuous sex? You guys do it. You do prescriptions. Cut it out. Cut it out. If you want to have a conversation, we can have the conversation. We can have it on my platform. I don't need to go on your podcast. I'll go on your podcast. You come on my podcast. We got a conversation anytime. And we can talk about the actual data, not the cherry pick. Women are hypergamous. All the stuff Rollo wrote about women, 70% of divorces are filed by women. Like, fam, let's really dig beneath those numbers. Let's go back to Rollo though. We got to go back to
Feminism has infiltrated your religion and every other religion for that matter. Do you want to talk about the crisis of masculinity? I can rattle off all of
We can talk about all that, Rollo. You act like we don't talk about all of that on the channel regularly, all the time. I read 2 of your books. How many videos have you watched? If you watched the freaking videos, you know we talk about all this stuff regularly.
In that book or my own chapter, but you only want to stick to those things, okay?
Because it's the most obvious degree of cognitive dissonance to pull up and say that you are a follower of Jesus, your words, not mine, yet you're encouraging people to spin plates and to push the women out that don't want to be physical with you to Tuesdays and Thursdays and prioritize the women that are going to give you some vagina to Saturdays. How does this work? How does this work? You raise the daughter. What would the prescription be to the daughter? Not that. Don't be a Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. Save yourself. Maintain a low body count.
And the reason why is because that's the only reason he came in there in the first place. It's not a debate. I keep telling you, most people.
I was ready to talk about hypergamy. I was ready to talk about women's dual mating strategies. I was ready to talk about intersexual dynamics. I was ready to talk about it all. I got the notes. Why I want you to come to California and hang out.
People have no earthly idea what a debate is. I even said this after he had left. That's not a debate. The debate is, here's the topic. Here's what we're going to talk about. Is this idea.
I sent topics. Here's you guys want to see the topics? Let's pull up the text message. Here's a few topic ideas. Boom. There's a text message right there. Few topic ideas. Can you guys see that? Few topic ideas. Men's struggles, women's hypergamy, modern dating, religion, church influence, feminism. I sent topics. I don't know, maybe they didn't pass that along to you, but I sent topics, fam.
True or false? As I said on the last show, I said, when a believer versus an empiricist have that talk, they're talking past each other. It's not a debate.
See, this he goes back to this believer versus empiricist. Brother, you claim to believe in a physical bodily resurrection of Jesus per your own book. You, sir, are an idealist as well. We are both idealists. The only difference is my ideals of how the world should be is congruent with my worldview and believing in the bodily risen man named Jesus. One man, one woman marriage, that is the prescription. Okay, so that is what we talked about, and you trying to frame it as you're the empirical one. You're not. Neither is Fresh and Fit. You cherry pick data based on your own presuppositions of how you think women are. And then when you're pressed on, show me how women have dual mating strategies. You can't name any sources because you made up a lot of this nonsense.
Because a believer's proposition, the reason why he's in that room and the reason why Ruslan is in that room is not to debate a goddamn thing. It is to establish whether Rollo is a hypocrite or he's not a hypocrite.
I mean, you got that part right. I don't know what could be more hypocritical than being the guy who's married for 26 years telling men not to get married. I mean, make that make sense.
It's not after, oh, we're going to go to marriage conferences. Okay, maybe that worked great for you.
No. Anyone that spends a little bit of time reading books about marriage, relationships, going to a conference, hearing a speaker, hearing an author, it's going to be good for them, Rollo. Nutrition, I mean, that could work for some people. Don't mean it's going to work for all people. No, generally speaking, if you understand how relationships work, if you understand what men want in a relationship, what women want in a relationship, if you understand these things, you will be in a better position to succeed within a relationship. Again, the cognitive dissonance that we can't apply this logic to everything else is astonishing to me.
We should all go to marriage conferences and hope for the best. You know, wife, Dal Rock, man up and marry those sluts. Is that best practices?
Now, this is a complete straw man. This is where you get confused about what the difference is between where the state of society is and helping change the state of society for the better. This is where you veer off course because you understand, you position it as if only women in church who want to get married are sluts. And unfortunately, again, the empirical data doesn't match up for you. 70% of virgins are religious and practice their faith regularly. Okay, you guys glorify the virgin. Andrew Tate just did a whole thing. I'd rather get a virgin. I'd rather get a virgin. So you guys glorify the virgin, yet you want to take their virginity, yet you want to cause them to have more body counts. It's nonsensical. The entire approach is nonsensical, but we don't give prescriptions. We're just saying how it is. We're just saying the way it is. We're just saying the way it is. No, there is some utility for specific types of women that, yes, maybe if a woman has went out there and wild out in her 20s and then wants to get in church into her 30s and have the epiphany phase, again, read your book, maybe those types of women should be vetted more. Maybe those types of women we should look out for. But to assume that every woman in church, and he says this in his book. Again, I read the book. He says in his book, he said, a man gets with a girl, he's done everything right in church, and then finds out she has 3 times the amount of partners he did. Based on what? Based on what data? The average woman has 4 sexual partners. These are not Christians, Rollo. This is just the per CDC. Where are you pulling this stuff from? There's very few sources in the back of the book. There's no sources in the first book.
Because we can make best practices out of goddamn anything that sound like it's moral and ethical and everything else. And I would also say this is like, you know, if you're going to come to a belief set, I think it's better for you to come through it through rationality than it is for like, you know, for you to come through it through like, emotionalism. That's what most people.
Another false binary coming from the guy that says he believes in the bodily resurrection of Jesus. Don't try to dismiss me as the emotional one where you claim to believe the same thing I claim to believe. You make that claim per your book. So then either we're both empirical or we're both not. Either we're both emotional, idealist, or we're both not. This is what I mean. This is a lot of the framing from these guys. They want to frame everything a specific way. It's all about framing. You're not going to pull me with the okie doke.
You know, if you're going to come to a belief set, I think it's better for you to come through it through rationality than it is for like, you know, for you to come through it through like, emotionalism.
Sure. That's how I came to faith, Rollo. A lot of people come to faith through the side door of apologetics.
But most people, when it comes to virtue and it comes to your like your values and everything else, it's not based on rationality. It's based on your feels and how you're brought up. Okay, well, you want me to give you a prescription? Here you go. Go and get into a metal band, like right around 88, 89, start playing the LA club scene, fuck random hoes, get into it with swimsuit models, have one centerfold in your past, get about 40 some odd, notch count, and then go through a shitty borderline personality disorder girlfriend. Oh, and then here's what you ought to do. Miraculously find some girl who really is, right with the Lord and is, wants you to be the driver, wants you to be the alpha male and everything else. And then just, marry that girl because it seems like, like she's the best choice for you. And then you'll have a 26-year marriage. There's your prescription. You guys ready to follow that?
No, because it's a stupid prescription. I understand that your pathway to finding someone was non-conventional. That doesn't mean those of us who decided to go the conventional route are crazy or lunatics. That means that those of us who decided to delay gratification, restrain our sexuality, and then transition into pursuing someone are the ones that learned from your mistakes, and guys that made mistakes like you, guys that racked up high body counts. A smart person learns from their mistake, a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. We have the data. More sexual partners does not make you more happy in a marriage. This is empirically proven. But that part of the data, I don't believe that data. I don't believe the CDC. Now we're just, what are we talking about then? If I present data, you reject my data, then what are we talking about? This is Andrew Tate saying, I don't care about the data, it's about my truth and my experiences. So just be upfront about it. This is my truth based on what I've experienced and how I view the world and my philosophies. It's not based on any type of evidence outside of your truth.
This guy decides to come in here. He's got two guys out in the conference room. One of them's feeding him lines and feeding him information. And towards the end of I'm not going to go into it right now, but like you can watch the video if you want. Towards the end of the show, Ruslan's got to go, but he was very, very specific. He's like, I want to get this out there. This is a point I wanted to talk about. I'm like, all right. And the point he wanted to talk about was this. He's like, he wanted to talk about hormonal birth control. And he wanted to talk about how like hormonal birth control actually makes women less horny and makes them look for like beta males and birth control is this and this. And so how does that square against like your estimate of like ovulatory shift, right? Because people want to say, well, ovulatory shift doesn't matter because women are on birth control. And again, I hear this comment and you'll see me at the end of the thing. I'm like, come on, yes, here we go. Get it out, spit it out. And he's reading this off of the tablet. He's reading this off of whatever watch he's got.
The notes. I'm reading this off of my notes. You said earlier that sometimes you go on Fresh and Fit with notes as well. We came with notes. I came prepared. Apparently you didn't come prepared.
I'm like, why is this so fucking important to this guy? This has absolutely, it was weird to me because it had absolutely nothing to do with the conversation up to that point. You want to talk about now you want to, like before you go, it's very important before you leave to get on the plane and fly wherever you're going to tell me this. I'm like, why the fuck is he telling me about this? And then I realized he's not the one that's coming up with this. It's the guys in the conference room that are tweeting or whatever, however they're communicating with him on Telegram or whatever. Hey, get him on this. Talk to about hormonal birth control and ovulatory shift, which I have addressed like God knows how many times. Ever since in fact, if you look at the book review I did of Marty Hazelton's book called Hormonal, I talk about that specifically there. I fielded this question so many times. That's why I'm like, yeah, spit it out. I know what you're going to talk about. But then afterwards, I'm like, that's odd. Why is he asking me about that? And then I realized because Miguel was telling me that he was talking to the other guy. And there's two guys. One guy's at the laptop and the other guy's talking to Miguel. And they're trying.
First of all, Rollo, who uses Telegram, brother? You think I'm Zuby. Okay, Zuby is the only human I know that uses Telegram. Okay, he's thinking I have a special earpiece fed to me that I'm getting all the information from. This is hilarious.
To have this conversation and the TV in the conference room is going on. And so Miguel goes up. I'm sorry, Miguel. Miguel goes up and he turns down the volume on the TV in the conference room so that he can carry on this conversation with the other guy who's there. And the guy who's at the...
Because they were talking about crypto. Didn't nobody want to hear about crypto.
At the laptop gets really kind of like upset and stressed out because he can't hear what's going on the TV and goes up and he like puts the volume back up and Miguel's like, oh, that's kind of odd. And he's like frantically typing while he's watching the TV. And I'm like, okay, now I didn't know this at the time, but I was on our trip back. Miguel was telling me that this is what was going on. And I go, ah. And then I looked in the chat and somebody said, oh, look, he's got like 2 Apple Watches on. I'm like, who the fuck needs 2 Apple Watches? Well, communication. Who knows?
Yo! Communication. Apple Watch, this was on silence as it is most of the day. This is a whoop. Once again, let's go back to Rollo.
Oh, there could be lots of other guys that are, feeding him information. Get Rollo on this, get Rollo on that. That's why I don't do fucking debates. This right here is why I don't do debates. And still, like 88%, was it 88%? 86% of guys said, oh, you're Rollo won the debate. I didn't win anything. He didn't win anything because it wasn't a debate.
You definitely didn't win
anything.
Place. Neither did I.
It was just like, well, okay, if the debate was, oh, Rollo's a bad guy or a good guy, well, then I guess I won. But that wasn't a debate. And so afterwards, I'm looking at this now. Here's how I know all this shit, because we have this like really great, people are saying, oh, that was very respectful. And I know there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, he was doing really good. And he made some points, blah, blah, blah. At least it was better than Jedediah. And I'm like, no, he becomes this completely different person because 10 minutes after he leaves the studio, that's when he starts posting this shit in the chat, in the live chat that's still going on because me and Adam are still going at it. We're still talking. We're answering super chats because we didn't want to get through all the super chats before we ended. Here's number 1, by the way. And if you can't see what that says, you can see it's right about the same.
So now he's mad. Oh gosh. So now he's mad that I was in the chat after the debate. What did you want me to do? We had this exchange. I wanted to make sure you weren't going to say anything reckless after the fact, like you did a whole stream talking, not about me, but you did a stream talking about. So then I got in the chat. I you know, I'm in the chat. I'm like, yo, like, whatever. Let's see what I said. I don't think I said anything. I didn't say anything crazy, by the way. And by the way, Rollo is the king of pulling up in chats and talking greasy on social media. The reason why I came prepared for this thing, go look at my red pill video on my Instagram, is because he told me, bro, you better come prepared because I'm not holding any punches. I'm taking the gloves off. So I came prepared. He told me to come prepared. I came prepared. So we're interactive. We're in the chat. I'm having fun. Let's see what he's so offended about by what I said in the chat.
Center there says Ruslan, and he's like, fun for, what does it say? Oh, fun time for the person who asked, yes, my wife took my last name. And then
somebody said, did my wife take my last name? I guess all kinds of goofy questions in the stream. Did your wife take your last name? How many partners have you had? All this stuff.
He's got another one here. I need to look at these in a little bit bigger format here. Sorry, guys. I was going to just put them on as screen caps here. Oh, here it is. Okay, and so the bottom one there says, win valuetainment money. That was number one. So literally, he's in the car on his way to Fort Lauderdale Airport, and he can't wait to get his ass back into the chat. So here's the.
Why is that crazy? I want to see how the rest of the stream goes. We create something together. We have a conversation together. Why would I not want to hop in a chat and say valuetainment for the dub? You know, yes, my wife took my last name. I'm answering questions. I'm interacting with the chat because I didn't get to interact with the chat in the middle of the stream. This is somehow a part of Rollo's, you know, me being this malicious villain who wanted to get over on him with my 2 Apple Watches.
And here's the next one, right? And this one, it says, let's see, I'll go on FNF anytime, Fresh and Fit. I'll go on Fresh and Fit anytime. And he's like talking all this other stuff.
Anytime.
And it says, highly unlikely Myron will be half as well read as Rollo. You'd be wrong about that, my friend, because he's actually read my books. Thank you. Then the next one. Oh, let's keep going here. This was the next comment. I have stats. Thumbs up. Okay. Well, yeah, you had lots of stats because they were all coming to you on that tablet and your watches while you're in there because you couldn't keep up with what the fuck I was doing. Next, down there it says, I shared a dozen stats. Myron don't want the smoke. Okay, what he's trying to do is he's trying to clout jack Myron at this point. So he goes from being this.
So this is what happens whenever someone can't address the arguments, because the arguments are what the arguments are. Whenever someone can't address the arguments, they just start attacking you. This is called an ad hominem attack. You can't refute any of my points because first of all, they're backed up by data. Second of all, because they're common sense. Decrease your notch count before you go into marriage, and you'll be more likely to be satisfied and less likely to be divorced in marriage, on top of a bunch of other variables that I presented. So then it just goes in. So you're clout jacking, you're a beta, blue pill. Somebody called me, I've never heard this before, a Christian blue pill alpha. The degree of mental gymnastics to give me at least the alpha part was incredible.
This guy who's trying to have this sort of like, you know, upscale conversation with me, to turning into like a 12-year-old in the chat on his way. I couldn't wait for it, you know.
Again, this part is Ruslan acting like a child. So you can't address my actual arguments. So then it turns into Ruslan's clout jacking Fresh and Fit. Ruslan is a 12-year-old child. He's acting like a 12-year-old child because you can't actually engage in what we're talking about. Because I want to continue the conversation. I want to hear about how you came to faith in Jesus, which you claim you believe in Jesus. I want to know more about you. Come to California. Let's hang out. He goes into this. Ruslan's acting like a child. Okay.
Now he had to get back into it. So, and then the next one is, FNF is brilliant content, nonsensical worldview, Jack from Rollo without the reading. That's the next one. And then.
Which is true. Fresh and Fit have a great format. See, I'm willing to give people their flowers when they do something well. Fresh and Fit has a great format. They figured out something. I'll give them that. They got that. That's fair enough. However, they aren't prepared to actually have these conversations. It's the same stuff that Rollo spews, but they're not as well read. You could tell. Because they just start spewing off facts without explaining the facts, without citing the facts, blah, 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 right? So this is the position. It's all about the frame. It's all about the frame, right? Yes, Fresh and Fit is Rollo without the being well read, just regurgitating the same faulty information that Rollo's regurgitating.
By the way, Ali, Real Femme Sapien, is in there, I guess, having this conversation with him. And says, Ruslan, I promise Myron does. He lives for it, blah, blah, blah. So they're having this back and forth. FNF doesn't want the smoke, right? I'm like, why are you flexing on Fresh and Fit now? And
because I felt I performed rather well with you, Rollo. I felt I did pretty good. You being the Godfather. Me spending a week and a half preparing, reading 2 of your books. Is this your king? So who's the next king? Myron's the next king? Myron, you can call in anytime, bud. I don't have to come to you. You could fly in. You can have the conversation in person here.
He was like talking about, okay, the next one. What's the next one down here? Next one is, you don't think I have a link with stats. Myron has repeatedly taken L's. And then the next.
I mean, is that not true? They was out here dropping fake copyright strikes. Talking about if you have a store and someone comes in your store and takes your broom and then makes a mess in your store, what are you gonna do with the store? You gotta, you saw them get pressed by Tim Pool. They didn't take any L's? Really? Remove the Abba and Preach stuff. They didn't take any L's jumping out the window trying to give everybody a copyright strike who said anything critical about them? Really? Really?
Next one down, he's having this conversation a little bit more. My guy Tony just reached out to FNF. Tony, would that be the guy that was on the laptop that Miguel was talking with, or you know, was it which guy in the conference room was it? The one who was feeding you the information, feeding you your stats, and get him on this? Was that the guy? You guys think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid, guys. I know this shit.
And Rollo has officially made it into one of our drops. That's the drop.
You guys think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid, guys. I know this shit.
You have became legendary on this stream, my brother.
You guys think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid, guys. I know this. Okay. And then he says, I'm very happy for FNF's success. Any immigrants building money is a win. He's going at it. And then people are saying, yeah, Ruslan lost big time. Now the chat realizes that he's actually in the chat now. And this is, by the way, this takes place within 10 minutes of him actually like leaving the building and then jumping in the car, and he could not wait to get into the chat right there. And then at the top here, he says, very unlikely Myron takes home more. That's beside the point. I think he's having this back and forth with Ali. I'll let Ali can probably like bring this up and talk about this a little bit more. She was saying, you know, Rollo is tall, he's Danish, whatever. Okay, thank you very much. And then what's the next one down? Anyways, I'm showing you guys the chat logs here that I picked up as I was watching this. Myron is not an immigrant. Yo, I was joking. Thought he was. I'm an immigrant. Dude, do you even like know who you're talking about? Clearly you don't.
Okay, so I thought Myron was an immigrant. That's not a diss. When I say when I'm saying I'm excited for immigrants who are successful, they're doing it, props to you guys. That's not a diss to say, and you know, I'm fans of any immigrants getting money. I believe the other guy, Myron is the tall guy. I forgot the other guy's name. The guy that was about to be a pastor and half of his family is Muslim, half of his family is Christian. What is the other guy's name? Is that Fresh or is that Fit? Is that Fit? That's not Fit. Myron's Fit. That's Fresh. What's the other guy's name? Gosh darn. So he's an immigrant. I thought Myron was an immigrant. He has immigrant energy. Like he has that. Fresh. Okay, that's he's fresh. That guy's fresh. Okay, never mind. So I was using that as a compliment. I was giving that as a compliment. Hey, great job. They're getting it. I'm proud of anybody that's out here earning money for themselves, building a business, doing something interesting. Okay. I mean, Walter. Yeah, Walter. That's his name. All right, let's go.
Don't.
So my assessment of the red pill, I think they do a good job of steering men away from specific types of women. I think they all suffer from very bad selection bias. I think they take women that are on the fringes and then they use those as the average woman. If you guys want to see some of these stats, you can look these up. These are readily available. Look up simple stuff like what is the average body count of most women, and you'll find out that less than, I believe, 5% of women have more than 10 partners. Okay, that most women aren't out here just running through dudes left and right. You won't find any empirical data to support that. Most women, 5% of women have more than 16 partners. Okay, 5% of women have more than 16 partners. So that's just the truth of the matter. I think these guys suffer from selection bias, but I think some of their stuff has practical utility from stirring specific men away from specific types of women. I think there is utility from that. I've said that. Addressing the right problems, wrong conclusions, wrong prescriptions, though they don't want to acknowledge that they give prescriptions. If we're going to say, well, I don't believe the data, well, then what are we talking about? We're talking about a whole nother thing. Furthermore, I have a very optimistic view of how people can be personally because I believe in a Jesus that regenerates hearts, that makes people new. People who are spiritually blind can all of a sudden see. People who are spiritually dead can all of a sudden have new hearts and live. And therefore, I believe that regardless on who you are, how scumbag of a man you are, how slutty of a girl you are, you could be made new. I do believe that. Now, that Rollo would say that's magical thinking, yet he believes in the same exact magical thinking. If I believe that, then I'm also going to believe that not all women are like that. And even if women are like that, that doesn't mean that they can't eventually change, right? Now, that doesn't mean, as a virgin, you should go marry a girl with a crazy high body count. That doesn't mean that you should be out here, dating slutty chicks. I don't believe in that either. So I think they stir men away from specific types of women. Okay. So if we're talking, so let's just go off the Jonathan. You're dropping the data. Here I have 5% of women have more than 16 partners. You're saying, per the CDC, 24% of women have had more than 10 partners. Okay. So that means 75% of women have had less than 10 partners. Right? So let's just again, think about this. And Google average number of partners for a woman. What's the number? 4. Okay? So so why are we presenting women as these slutty, materialistic women who just want to, get the alpha seed and make the beta pay for the baby and all this? It's just it's not, there's no studies that'll back that up. There's no studies that'll back that up. Now you could say women are lying, but then you don't believe anything. Then we can't have an objective conversation based on empirical data. Remember, the entire thing was framed on what does the empirical data say? The empirical data says 60 to 70% of divorces are filed by women. I'll give you that. I'll agree with that. I could go look into deeper and find out, well, what's abuse? What about adultery, right? Men are more likely to cheat than women. I got that stat pulled up. Here we go. You guys want to see? I came prepared, ladies and gentlemen. There's the stat right here. Men way more likely, except from 18 to 29, men and women cheated about the same rates. And then as you see this number go up, men are way more likely to cheat. How much of the women filing for divorce is because of men cheated? I don't know. There's all kinds of different variables involved. But I've been very clear. I think it has some utility. I think it helps some men stay away from some types of women. The issue is that it connects with the selection bias that all women are like the women that go on Fresh and Fit. And that is just not true. Okay? It's not true. You can't point to any empirical data to prove that. Furthermore, it ignores the fact of male hypergamy. It ignores the how whack men could be. And then it uses double standards and says, well, it's different if a man sleeps with a bunch of women. Okay, well, not according to the data of who's more likely to get divorced. If you have a higher notch count, you're statistically more likely to get divorced. In that regard, Rollo claims to have over 40 partners. In that regard, Rollo, you're the anomaly. You're the outlier. Statistically speaking, you're more likely to get divorced, but you're the outlier. Furthermore, the cognitive dissonance of how is this applied to the daughters, the wives, the cousins, the sisters, the nieces in your life. What do you want them to be? Do you want them to go and be promiscuous? Do you want them to raise their notch count? Right? Like, that's where people will look at it and just be like, well, fam, you say you are for the nuclear family, as Fresh and Fit and Rollo say. You say you think divorce is evil, but the very same things that you are promoting is going to cause more of this types of nonsense. It's going to cause more of these sorts of things. Right? Anyway, I got to go, guys. This has been fun. Hit the bell notification. Make sure you're subscribed. All that good stuff. I enjoy being the villain in these circles. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay? Applegate. Applegate! Yeah. You should be honest about it. Yeah, and it's always the anomaly of the pastor that marries the porn star. Okay, to be honest with it, that's a little weird. It's a little weird. It's a little weird. A little weird. Okay? But, generally speaking, my opinion, I dealt with a lot of men for a lot of years. Generally speaking, my opinion of men and women, but men, is a lot of you guys need to men and women. Yeah, there's been a couple of pastors that have married porn stars. It's craziness. That's going to come with certain challenges. Right? It's going to come with certain challenges. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. And I will be back. We'll be back tomorrow with a video on, I think we're gonna do something about Andrew Tate's professed faith. All right, we'll see. We'll see if we get to that. We got a video another Patrick Bet-David video dropping on Wednesday. You can check out the full Patrick Bet-David interview on Patreon. All right, I'm out of here. Love you guys. Peace.